Welcome back to the Love Your People Well podcast. We have entered November, which means the holidays are basically like tomorrow, is probably what it feels like and what our experience will be. And here's a little thing I know about the holidays: they can be really stressful. And if you're a mom, anything like me, you're already thinking about presents for the kids, holiday traditions, the food you need to make, all the different things that are going on. And the emotion of stress can really get in the way of enjoying family time, family relationships, all of that, enjoying our family during the holiday season. So let's all agree right now, that's our goal. We want to enjoy the holiday season. And so today we're going to talk through 12 ideas. Let me look at my list. Yes, 12. 12 ideas, right? Like the 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of low stress holidays, of getting ready for the holidays so that we can enjoy our family and not get stuck in that horrible feeling of stress. I'm glad that you're here. If you're new here to the Love Your People Well podcast, hello and welcome. My name is Jess, and I am a family counselor. I'm a pastor's wife. I'm a mom of four, and my triplets are turning 5 at the end of this year. And so, they're definitely at that age where there's a lot of pressure. At least I'm feeling a lot of pressure on making this an amazing, memory filled holiday season. And so the stress is real. So I hope these 12 tips are helpful to you, but I definitely hope they're helpful to myself as well. And as we look at this topic, I've really been encouraged by a little passage in the book of Galatians in the New Testament, where the Lord is talking about how we well, I'll just read it. I'm reading from Galatians chapter 6, and it's talking about how it says, "Do not be deceived." That's in verse 7. "God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. And whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life." And then this is the verse 9, that has really been encouraging me right now, or maybe challenging me as I think about stress and how much that interrupts enjoying family time and the holidays coming up and all of that. And so in verse 9 it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And then in verse 10 it says, "Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially those who belong to the family of believers." So I think we see three things here that are going to help us manage stress well. And we need to do what the Lord is telling us here. We need to sow seeds, act in a way, do things that aim to please the Spirit, things that aim to please God, not our flesh. And that is such a temptation at the holidays. And yes, we'll talk through 12 action steps, boom, 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 things we can do to reduce that stress. But we need to have this mindset that the reality is the holidays are very tempting to focus on what do we want, what are the things we want on our list, the things we want to do, the memories we want to make. No, we need to be sowing to please the Spirit, prioritizing the things that are for the Lord. We also need to make sure we're not becoming weary in doing good, in trying to bless our families, trying to love our husbands and love our kids and create a wonderful holiday season. We don't want to get weary in doing that because it can be very wearisome. It can tire us out. And then as it said in verse 10 here, as we have opportunity, we want to do good to all people. And the holidays are especially a time, yes, for family and memories and traditions and wonderful things, but also it's a time when there's just a lot more opportunity and awareness of helping others and doing good. And the more stressed out we are feeling, the less we're going to be doing good to others, the more weary we are going to become, And the harder it will be to focus on the things of God instead of the things of flesh and of the world. And so I think we can all agree. So, stress, the holidays, stress is common. Stress is an issue this time of year, and it impacts us, right? We feel worse. We don't sleep. We're not feeling as peaceful or as joyful. And, um, and we are entering a season where that is very common. So, as we jump into these 12 days of low stress Christmas, I should try to come up with a catchy little title around that. But anyway, 12 tips here to help us enjoy the holidays, enjoy Thanksgiving, enjoy Christmas, enjoy New Year's, and really make the most of it, escape from the stress of it. As we jump into these 12 tips, let me remind you that there are a lot of resources. I always like to remind people of what's out there. I'm a resource person. I like to have a little handout. I like to have a cheat sheet. I like to have a journal to fill out. I don't know. If you're anything like me and you like resources, you want a great freebie, you want a devotional to dive into, I would encourage you to head over to loveyourpeoplewell.com. And actually thinking about the holidays in particular, I just finally uploaded it because I've had it in my Etsy shop for a while, but now it's on the website as well. But I have an Advent devotional that could really be helpful. I'm really looking forward to doing it again this year. There's a women's version, men's version, kids version, so it's perfect for families because it's the same scriptures every day, the same reflection questions, just edited a little bit for age appropriateness for kids and some of the graphics and things like that. But I will put a link in the show notes for that. But that might be a great resource. It's just popping in my head right now. Oh, yeah, I did put that on the website now. But that's been one of my more popular items in the Etsy shop over the last few years. So grabbing that Advent devotional, walking through those 25 days of Christmas, that's actually one of the things that I'll talk about in our 12 tips here is little things we can do to make the season meaningful. Having something like that to work through every day, getting in the Word, praying, reflecting on the season is going to be helpful. So I would encourage you to check out that Advent devotional. There's also a version that, like Advent story cards, that has 25 days, just little cards. You can make a little Advent calendar with, again, a simple scripture, simple reflection, question, and response. But there's plenty of other great stuff there on the website as well. So a lot of that is over at loveyourpeoplewell.com. And so let's dive in to these 12 tips, right? 12 things that are going to help us reduce stress and enjoy our families during the holidays. And the first one, you've heard it before, but you got to hear it again, is to say no. Say no more often. And this is so important at the holidays, which is why it's a cliche. You've heard it before, but I'm saying it again because the holidays have so many extra things, so many opportunities. You could fill up every night of your family's calendar with a different event, with a fun candle making activity or a cookie party over here, or that Thanksgiving party, that Thanksgiving party, that Christmas party, that Christmas party. You cannot do it all. It will stress you out. And so saying no, and the way that I'm approaching this, how do I say no more often, is to have the conversation now with my husband. What do we want to prioritize this year so that we can say yes to those things? And not to say we won't say yes to anything else, but it's a lot easier to say no to something if I already know what I already know in a different way. I am already confident about what I'm saying yes to and why we're saying yes to it. But if you're feeling stressed, just cut things out. Say no. Sit on the couch with your families in your PJs drinking hot chocolate. That can be a wonderful holiday tradition with zero prep and probably pretty low stress. So just know what those priorities are, and then beyond that, say no. Tip number 2 here is to simplify. We have a few things here, but simplify your meals. And I don't necessarily mean your Thanksgiving dinner, although that might be part of it. There are probably some big food-related events during the holidays, and that's great. When I was a kid, every year, my best friend, his mom, did a cookie party. I mean, it was amazing. I think she had it catered because there were like 100 different types of cookies, and they were all amazing, and every room had a different theme, and it was awesome. So, if you want to do that, please invite me because that sounds really cool and it was really fun as a kid. But now that I'm the mom, now that I'm the grown up who has to prepare the cookies or prepare the meals, this is a time to simplify. And I'm looking at that as my simplifying my meal like rotation. What's my schedule for the week? Let's have spaghetti. Let's have tacos. Let's have those very easy meals so I can focus my attention on the people instead of the food and then save that food energy for the big events. Number 3 here is to simplifying chores. And yes, during the holidays, your mother-in-law might be coming. That does not mean you have to dust the baseboards. I hear people talk about that. I've never done that in my life. I don't think I'll be starting now. But even your regular chores during the holidays, just focus in on the visible areas. If you're having company over, that's the room to clean. Nothing needs to be spotless and perfect that's going to be hidden away and out of sight. Now, I'm someone that gets stressed out by mess and clutter, and the holidays really ramp up the clutter, or at least the stuff, because now there's presents and now there's more things that are showing up. There's cards showing up in the mail. Where am I going to put them? What am I going to do with them? But the chores, the cleaning, simplify it. Cut back as much as you can and just focus on the visible areas. Number 4 here, simplify gifts. And what I mean by that is definitely the number, like the quantity of gifts. It's okay to cut back on that. Have the conversation now with your husband. What are the priorities? What's our budget? Maybe you have a set number of items that you get each family member. But simplifying your gifts and emphasizing the things. This is what made me think about the Advent devotional that I wrote a few years back that I finally got on the website and not just on the Etsy shop. But focusing in on gifts and things that are actually meaningful, that focus you and your family on the Lord, not 100 different toys for the kids, but what's their favorite hobby? Get a gift around that. Get something that's meaningful, something specific, and simplify the gifts. Number 5 here is to increase quality time with your kids. The holidays, like I know you want more quality time with them. There are so many opportunities to just enjoy each other and snuggle up by the Christmas tree or sit around the table and share about what you're thankful for. But the more you're spending quality time with your people, with your kids, the less stress you're going to feel. It's going to help you physically feel better. And you probably have to slow things down to really get that quality time. And so focus on connecting with your kids, doing things with your kids, and don't worry about that other stuff. Let your kids fill you back up with that joy, with that energy, with that excitement for the holidays, and let that push some of the stress aside. Number 6 here is to in a similar way, increase that time with your husband, but I would specifically encourage you, increase physical intimacy with your husband during the holiday season. Yes, the quality time too, that's great. Get the date night, enjoy all of that. But let's be honest, physical intimacy can be a great stress reliever. He's definitely going to enjoy it. It can help you to feel better. Now, I know that that sometimes is a hot button area for a marriage. It's not always where you want it to be in your marriage. I have a resource for that specifically. I'll put a link in the show notes. Obviously, that's not really what this conversation is about, but that is a tip that's going to help reduce some of that stress. To be intimate with your husband, to enjoy him, get that stress relief. And there's online courses from a woman named Sheila Ray Gregoire that I always recommend that are very helpful, very practical, very Christ-centered, very private because it's an online course for husbands or wives or both. So I'll put some links to that. It's on my website at loveyourpeoplewell.com/marriage. You'll find some links to it. But getting that physical connection, which boosts it, there's hormones being released. It's connecting you with your husband. It's reducing stress. It's going to help you feel better. And so if that's a problem or a struggle area in your marriage, there are resources to help, but that can be a great stress reliever. Number 7 here is to pray about the things that are stressing you out. God hears you. And sometimes things feel like this tiny little, like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to pray about it. But if it's a big enough deal that you're stressing about it, you're struggling with that emotion, take it to the Lord. Lay it before Him. Seek His wisdom, seek His comfort. He wants you to bring it to Him, and He is the one with power to change things, including your own heart. So pray about the things stressing you out. Number 8 here is to prioritize. This is similar with like thinking about your schedule. What am I saying no to? What am I saying yes to? What gifts are we focusing on? But zoom in and label what are the events or the activities or the holiday related things that actually matter to you and your family. It might be important to your mother-in-law, and that's important. You want to consider that, but that's not your top priority. It might be all the rage on social media. That's not your top priority. And so kind of zooming in and labeling with your family, with your husband, what are our actual holiday priorities? If the more you can label them, name them, understand them, the easier it is to make sure they happen and enjoy them when they do happen. Kind of like when you're planning for a vacation, some of the fun is in the planning. You're getting excited about it, you're dreaming about it. Do that for your holiday priorities and events. What are we at? Number 9. Get outside in the sunshine. Even if it's cold, sunshine lifts our mood. The vitamin D, connecting with nature. It can be morning, it can be night. It might be a little more limited because getting in the sun during the winter, the hours are fewer, probably, at least they are where I live. And so, but making that a priority. Put on the coat and get outside. Let the wind hit your face and have that moment of like, oh my gosh, it is cold, but it'll wake you up. And the sunshine can can hit your skin and lift your mood. Number 10 here is to get more sleep. That always helps with stress. And the holidays are a time when we tend to stay up later because we're dealing with all the presents and we're dealing with all the sending the holiday cards and doing all the things. If you're doing the other tips I mentioned, you might have less of that anyway, but let the sun be your guide. Go to sleep earlier. Maybe get up later. That's not going to be possible in my life right now, but whatever it needs to happen, getting a little bit more sleep can have a big impact on your mood. Number 11 here is to drink more water because that really can boost your energy, and especially at the holidays when you're probably having a little bit more sugar, a little bit more carbs, maybe fewer vegetables. Zooming in on the water and hydrating your body has a big impact on how you're going to feel, especially if you're doing holiday events, like I said, with more carbs, more sugar, but also maybe more alcohol or cider, or just you're drinking different things, you're eating different things. So focus in on the most basic and drink enough water. Drink more water, feel better, hydrate your body. It'll energize you, it'll boost your mood. Physically, you'll feel better. Mentally, you'll feel better. It can go a long ways. And then our final tip here, right? 12 days of a low stress Christmas. Number 12. And I'll have a few specifics here, but just put away the technology. You will feel better, especially social media. If you're feeling stressed, don't let social media into your holiday season. It's going to steal your time. It's going to steal your joy. It's going to create that atmosphere of comparison and jealousy. We all know now, the research is so clear. It's linked with loneliness. It's linked with depression. It's linked with anxiety. So many people even they're using their phone. They're taking pictures so that they can post them. No, take the pictures for your memories. And so just 2 specific tips that might help with the technology. One is to set specific times for yourself. Like, I'm going to check my Facebook, my whatever. I'm going to do that in the morning before the kids wake up, or I'm going to do that while they're down for lunch or for naps, right after lunch when they're down for naps. I'm going to do that right before I go to bed. That's probably not the best time, but pick a specific time and just that's what you do. That's your 10-minute activity or whatever it is, rather than having it at your fingertips all day long. And then another tip there with technology is for a specific device, because my husband has one and he loves it. And it's called the Brick. I'll put a link to it. I'll have to find it online, but I'll put a link to it in the description for this episode. But you can basically, what I mean is find an app for accountability. He likes the Brick because you basically set up your phone so, like, I can only access certain apps at certain times of day, and he has to physically take his phone and touch it to this magnetic little block on our fridge if he wants kind of permission to access an app outside of what he has pre-scheduled, which is super rare that he does that because it's kind of a hassle. And that's the whole point. But there are some great apps as well. That's just one I'm familiar with. And it's not even an app, it's an actual thing that we have on the fridge. But find an app or an accountability software or something that's going to force you to spend less time on your devices so that you can spend more time with your people. All right, friends, we know the holidays are coming. I hope and I pray that they are joyful for you. Circle back with me on Friday for a short moment of prayer around the stress levels we're struggling with our holidays so that we can join together and not get weary in doing good, but focus on what pleases the Lord. Take the opportunities He gives us to do good and enjoy the harvest of blessing as we persevere and enjoy the holidays with our families. So until then, hugs and blessings to you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.